Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Morning, show me you're awake. That's good, you're awake. Hi. I travel a lot, and my wife wonders whether I really work. So what I like to do whenever I travel is take pictures and put it on Twitter so that she can see that I'm working. So can you all wave? Can you all give me a wave? Thank you. So you're now on Twitter, if that's okay? Technology, good to see you. This is our third year here, and I want to share with you some of Herman Miller's research. Herman Miller are an office furniture manufacturer, and we have been in Moscow for a few years and have done some very successful projects through our two dealers, which are represented here. I don't know who you think you design offices for. Maybe you think you design them for big corporations, for big companies, and that you design offices for the IT department or the HR department. The reality is that you design offices for people. And we are all different. Look around the room. We are all very different. We have individual needs. Some of us like to work alone. Some of us like to work together. And the challenge of designing great offices is that we have to design offices to help people reach their full potential. I would like to show you a video to put this in context. Is there any sound? Any sound? Any sound? Don't worry, it's fine. Don't worry, it's fine. Okay. That was a video, and I talked about this last year, that in 1968, Herman Miller designed something called Action Office. And the challenges that we faced then, we still face today. But what interests us as a manufacturer and you as designers are what are the trends that we are seeing? What are the trends that we are facing? And these are some of the trends that we are being challenged with that you're designing offices for. We are seeing a growth in technology like we've never known it before. Technology is changing all the time. Is anyone working on an office that is going to be occupied 2 or 3 years away? Yeah? Anyone? The reality is, you don't even know what technology will be in that office. It's very difficult to predict now what technology will be around next year, let alone 5 years away. Technology has changed the way we work, the way we interact, the way we socialize, the way we learn, the way that we manage. Technology has changed the way that your staff expect to work, and therefore it is changing the way that we design offices. So we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail. I would love you to think about what technology has transformed your life. Has it made it better or worse? So these are great, yeah? Can I tell you something? On these you have something called an off button. Yes? You can turn these off. For many of us, we can't survive unless they are on. Technology is great. Any of you that travel around Moscow, you use GPS. If any of you forget your GPS, it's really hard, huh? It's very hard, you can't find anywhere. So technology has changed and it's brought great benefits. The other thing is, we've heard technology, have you heard of the cloud services? This is all the technology, everything stored, not in your office. So suddenly, to access your files, you don't need to be in your office or even at your own computer. That means you can work anywhere in Moscow, you can work anywhere in Russia, you can work anywhere in the world and still access the same documents. That is going to change the way that we design offices. If you don't understand what cloud technology is, if you use Google Documents, if you use Hotmail, if you use MSN, if you use Dropbox, all those are cloud services. So why am I going to an office every day to access something that I could access from my house or from an office much nearer? So we have to question ourselves, why are we designing offices? What are they for? And we heard earlier about the demographic changes, the generations at work. We hear a lot about the young generation coming through, Generation Y, or the next generation. The reality is that my generation isn't going to disappear as soon as you thought. Because the world economy has changed my pension scheme. I am not a rich man anymore. So suddenly I'm going to have to work longer. The other thing is this: we are healthier much longer. And I don't want to get to 60 or 65 and say goodbye to all my friends and never see them again that I've made through work. I might want to still carry on working. Because for many of us, our social life is around our workplace. That means you've got to design offices for a 65-year-old and a 20-year-old. Forget about the technology. What about the physical needs of an office space like that? As you get older, your need for light changes. What you hear changes. Your need for privacy is quite different when you're 60 to when you're 20. When you're 60, you're not like the Facebook generation that want everyone to know what you're doing. You would like somewhere to go and ring the doctor or the bank in private. Where can I do that? So a multi-generational workforce. And as we saw, we're going to see 5 different generations in the workforce, a huge challenge. The other thing is we are now mobile. I can see many of you have got your iPhones and you're working. You are sending emails, you're catching up on things. It's a mobile, but the other thing that it's become is a much more collaborative workforce where we can work anywhere, at any time, at any place. Therefore, the workplaces that we are designing are very different to the workplaces that we used to work in. The other challenge is this: I don't know whether any of your clients are saying to you, we need bigger desks, we need bigger offices, we need bigger spaces. They are they? What they are saying is, we need to make more effective use of our real estate. Prices in Moscow don't go down, do they? Prices in Moscow go up. So how do we use the real estate that we've got much more effectively? That is a real challenge. Businesses are trying to reduce real estate and yet employ more people. How do they do that? That is a real challenge. And the other thing is helping people to work on their collective intelligence. The other thing is that you are now competing with the world. We heard about London. You're not just competing with London. London's great, but actually you're competing with Colombia, Indonesia, Vietnam, because we can work anywhere. You can work for a company in Turkey and be based in Moscow. We now can work anywhere. And many of you here are not from Russia or not from Moscow. We are a mobile workforce. This is in addition to BRICS. This is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Incredible challenges, so movement of labour. The other thing is, it is no longer important about knowing anything. Knowledge is not as valuable as it once was, which is kind of scary. Why do I say that? Well, if you want to know anything now, somewhere on the internet is something all about it. If this breaks and I want to repair it, I can find somewhere that will tell me how to do it. The skill now is not knowing anything, it is what you do with what you know. And how you share that knowledge with other people. I can learn to design, I'm not a designer, but I can learn all the concepts of designing offices. It doesn't mean I can do it. Because the application of the knowledge is the skill. And the other thing is how you share knowledge. We're living in an open source world where more and more people are becoming specialists and then sharing that knowledge with other people. So with that in mind, Herman Miller has we've set ourselves some principles. Whenever we design product or whenever we commission research, it has to sit within these 6 areas. We have to help people engage, and I'll go through each of these. We have to help people work together, help them work anywhere, make the technology work for them, be environmentally friendly, and make much more effective real estate. So let me go through this and see what I mean by this. The first thing is help people engage, and I hope you understand what I mean by this. This is a human resources term. Engage is that people feel connected. They actually feel valued. They actually feel that they work for a company that wants them to work for them, where they are seen as an asset. So this is the technical term engagement, the alignment of purpose and commitment to action. It enables the individual and the organisation to reach their potential. For too long, it's been all about the company. But if you want the company to succeed, you have to concentrate on the individuals. With that in mind, you have to think about what matters to the 2 groups. For an individual, what matters is, I want to be appreciated. Please say thank you. Please say great job. Well done. It really does make a difference to our day. Thank you everyone for coming here today. Excellent. That's what motivates us. Then the other thing is affiliation. We like gangs. We like clubs. We like a sense of community and a sense of belonging. Now, you have to go careful we don't take that too far, because it becomes tribal, but actually we do like that sense of belonging. And the other thing that's important is, I just want a sense of purpose. When I go into the office, I want to know that I'm going to make a difference. Otherwise, salary is important. We all need money, yeah? But it is only a part of what motivates us. So what does the company want? What the company wants is it wants to retain the best people. And particularly when times get tough, we want to look after and keep the best people. We want people to perform at the height of their potential. And the other thing is we want them to be innovative. We want them to come up with new ideas. Great office design can make a difference to this. So what do? You've got to design offices that create a sense of community, where I feel connected, that actually I feel welcome. I want to see an end to those grand entrance halls that are just for the clients. And the staff go in by the side door because they're not that important. But guess what? They are as important as your customers. Because without them, you won't have your customers. So let's make staff feel welcome. Let's make the place feel familiar, like a home. It's kind of, how many of you spend 8, 9, 10 hours a day in a place that actually you want it to feel familiar? Create a sense of community. Make sure people know what the business is doing. So you can do that through brand, and I don't mean logo, I mean through corporate messages. You can have leaders that are visible. Let's stop putting the leaders on an executive floor where no one can see them. That is not community. And then help people get on with their work. Support them. And it's great seeing all the kind of funky spaces that we see, but if they don't work, don't do it. Let's not just put in spaces because Google have done it. Why are you putting it in? What difference? Can I just get on and do my job? So make sure it's functional. The other thing is, how many of you get off of that metro, get to the office and go, yay, I'm in the office today? Very few of us, huh? But it's such a big part of our life, we have to design offices that enrich our lives, where work adds to our rich experience, rather than, it's, oh, thank God it's Friday. Oh no, it's Monday. Yeah? That's got to change. If you want productivity, if you want success, that has to change. The other thing is, with all the new ways of working, it's got to be health positive. Do not ignore ergonomics. I know it's a boring subject for some of you, but look around the exhibition. The issue of ergonomics are still very, very important. The other thing is, let people express themselves. We are individuals. Try to let people be authentic. It's not about uniforms and conforming. And that is a real challenge when we are living in a world where people don't have their own desk. How do they personalise their space? What's happening more and more, of course, is that people are personalising their technology. And that becomes their personal space. If you give someone a laptop, have a look at it in a month's time and it will look nothing like the laptop you gave them because they personalised it. The other challenge is this. More and more, we need to design spaces to help people work together effectively. This is very different than forcing people to work together even if they don't need to. Not everyone is as extrovert as I am and wants you all to hear everything I'm saying. Some of us are quiet and we need spaces, just a thing. We are introverts and we design offices often for extroverts. But more and more, the successful companies are not made up of individuals all on their own. They're made up of individuals that co-create, that work together, that connect with others. We did a global survey and we started looking at how people interact and collaborate. Still, 70% of interaction happens at the desk. So let's make sure we design desk areas that enable people to collaborate. With big screens sometimes, rather than... iPads are great, aren't they? But have you ever tried sharing 4 people around an iPad? It's not that easy, is it? So think about collaborating at the desk. This is now the noisy area, isn't it? If you want quiet, you move away from the desk because more and more collaboration is happening at the workstation. The other things that we observe is to help people collaborate, the culture of the business needs to be right. If the management don't move to those beautiful collaboration spaces that you're going to see all around this building, all those products, if the management don't use them, then have a guess what? The staff won't use them because they haven't been given permission to do that. So the culture is really important. What we also observed is a sense of privacy. I don't mean that we don't want anyone to hear anything, but in a lot of breakout areas, they're too exposed, they're too open, but we just sometimes feel just a little bit of protection. And I'm not on about acoustic partitions, but just divisions where people feel that they are actually separated from the rest of the space. More and more use of vertical space, whiteboards, electronic boards, because that helps people. Post-it notes, where do I put them? And of course, designers, you do great jobs in designing these beautiful white offices, and there's nowhere to stick things. Don't use blue tack, don't use post-it notes. Well, more and more, if you want people to collaborate, those vertical surfaces become interactive spaces. And I'm going to jump that one. And the other thing is, think about these collaborative spaces. Look at this, that's great. That's actually an architect's office in London. For some of you, that looks great. For some of you, you wouldn't go anywhere near that because it's too open, it's too exposed. It is beautiful, but would you use it? So think about the kind of space for different people. The other challenge is you've got to design spaces that let people work anywhere. That means not just in the office at their desk, that means anywhere in their building, but it might be anywhere in Moscow. We've just heard the challenges of the transport system. Every time I come to Moscow, all of you, the traffic, the journeys. Well, maybe we have to rethink about people coming into the office for an hour and a half. What about other options? Are there local working hubs they could go to? Are there other options? Let work happen anywhere. So that might be the home. I know for everyone it's not possible, but of course, even if we don't have home working, most of you work from home if you've got a BlackBerry or an iPhone, yeah? You all kind of, how many of you sent an email at 10 o'clock at night when you're watching the TV or something? We kind of all do it. It might be the office, or it might be the third place, but the office is changing. The office is somewhere, because we're social creatures, that we come to connect and collaborate. It's not somewhere, if I've got a bit of concentrated, intensive work, the office is not the best place for that. Or my desk is probably not the best place for that. So what we're seeing is the growth of the corporate campus, and I don't mean that it's all across one site, but think about university campuses. There are places where you can go and be quiet, where you can have coffees, where you can socialise, where you can learn. Places that are very varied, and we think that you can learn a lot in university campuses. There's a lot more of these kind of spaces, co-working hubs, where people from all different companies just share facilities. Pop in there for an hour or 2 hours. And what happens is, the social digital mindset that we all have from the internet is now realizing itself where we all join together because we have similar interests. So these are all digital social networks, and some of you would never have heard of them. But that doesn't mean that it's not popular. So what you have is, what's happening in the digital world is now happening in the real world. People of similar careers and similar businesses are starting to work together. And that's being assisted because of all the tools of mobility and the technology that we're able to provide. So where in your buildings are you designing the places for people to work in, like a campus or a co-working hub? Because why are we putting IT over there and HR over there and real estate over there? Let's get them talking to each other. Let's get them working together. You never know, we might learn something. The other thing is, we need to start making technology work for people, rather than the technology's not working again. It's got to start supporting people. Now, historically, technology was like this. This is a picture from the 70s with all the technology. The reason desks were big was to house all that large technology. Well, suddenly, all that technology is down to the size of something like this with connected to a printer. And so suddenly, technology can support the way you work rather than drive the way that you work. Now, the fact that you can work anywhere does mean that you can work badly. This is very bad, okay? This is not good. It's not good for the office furniture industry either. But his challenge, can you see the reason he's there is because he needs power. How many of you have done that, where you have to plug in? Yeah? It's a real challenge. So we have opportunities. We have mobility like we've never known it. So we now can work anywhere, whether it's with an iPad, whether it's with a laptop, whether it's with an iPhone. At one time, for you to have a video conference between Knight Frank's London office and Moscow, you'd have to have this very expensive Cisco kit. You can now video conference from your telephone. It's completely changed. The other thing that we think is going to be interesting is how you interact with the technology. So currently we type, but eventually we're going to see a lot more touch. You've already seen touch screens. If you go over there, there's a touch screen over there. We're going to see movement. So can you imagine an office full of people directing things on a screen and moving? We're going to see voice recognition. So can you imagine an office of people dictating to their computer? That's going to be strange, isn't it? And so suddenly you have to think about the spaces that you're designing. What about the noise? What about the what's visual? What can be seen? The other thing is we have to do not ignore the environment. And I'm so pleased that already 2 speakers have mentioned the green issues. But make sure that you do not ignore the environmental issues. And I just wanted to, this is our own policy of how we do it. But I wanted to read you, if I may. Google has a very strong environmental policy. And these are some fun things that they say to their staff. If you're building a building, ask a company what's in their materials. And if they won't tell you, we don't want it. Check your nose. If the material stinks, we don't want it. If the material starts as hazardous waste, we don't want it in our building. Why not question the generation of hazardous waste rather than trying to work out where to put it? Avoid materials that are pretending to be something they are not. Question materials that say they make people more healthy. Pay more, use less. And regard space-age materials with skepticism. Simple environmental policies that need not be ignored. And the last thing I want to share with you is this. You've got to make the real estate work harder. The most expensive investment a company makes is people. The second most expensive is the real estate. So basically, look at this, 85%. But the trouble is, so many of you focus on saving a bit of money in the offices that we affect individuals' productivity. Let's put them on a smaller desk. Let's put them on a smaller desk. And then you waste the money that you're investing. So I'm going to jump through these. But basically what we're seeing is that more and more, we're seeing a lot more space analysis and understanding the way that the business works before you get anywhere near interior design. Understand, work with good consultants to understand the business needs. What have you got? What do you want? Before you even get your design pens out. So I hope that's interesting. Thanks very much for your time.